Say yeah, it feels good, don't it? Damn, it feels good to have people up on it. Say yeah.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 32 of Community Chronicles, a DDPY community video interview series. It's a new year. I'm talking to a new man, a 2022 Positively Unstoppable Challenge finalist, a videographer, a musician, a father. If you haven't seen this guy's story yet, you're in for a bit of a treat here. Everyone, please help me welcome Barry Bowling.
Hey, everybody. Thank you.
Did I say your name right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
All right.
Just like a bowling alley. That's
I was
the easiest way to say it.
So the other day I'm thinking, is it bowl? There's no way it's bowling. But I was thinking to myself, well,
You would be surprised. Oh my God.
Your name either sounds like an idler iPhone game, or if it's bowling, it's like a Cambodian dessert. So either way, it's interesting. But welcome to the show here, Barry. I'm happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
Why don't we just go right into asking you to do what we ask everybody to do here to start our Community Chronicles, and that's give us the VHS video sleeve version of how you came to find DDPY and what it's done for you in the meantime.
Oh, man. Let's rewind and condense and fast forward all at the same time. So 2018, I downloaded the app and I never gave it a second thought about actually like trying to do anything. I downloaded it, I think, in sometime in like June, July, did the free 7-day trial and thought, like, I can't do this. This isn't going to help me change. It's not going to happen. Fast forward to 2021. I was coming home from Florida after Thanksgiving, November 2021, and I didn't have a gut buster of a feast of a meal or anything like that, but I was 242 plus pounds, and I just knew that I didn't feel the best. I was miserable inside and out. I didn't like how I looked. I had so much that I wanted to do, and I've invested so much time in my education and my collection of music equipment and video equipment that I want to put myself on camera and help people. But at the same time, I just felt so miserable and absolutely just at my most rock bottom low that I'd been lurking in the DDPY group, and actually back in like May 2021, I secretively started paying for the app and didn't tell my wife, and paid for it for like 9 months this time and still didn't crack a single workout. So I told her coming home that I'd been paying for it and that even though it was a waste of money, this time I'm going to commit and see how it goes and give it a try. So on December 2nd, 2021, I did my first workout. And I remember the first couple of times that she had walked by that I was thinking like, she's watching me. I hated that feeling of being watched, but eventually like it just went away, because after like the first 2 weeks, it's like, well, I've lost a couple pounds. And then it became like December into February into March 2022, I started having the mindset shift that this is more than just the physical transformation, that I actually have the tools in the Positively Unstoppable Art of Owning It book to change my mindset and approach to life. I can heal some of the traumas that had me locked away from being my best and reaching out for higher things, and just really reframe my perspective and get out of the kind of victimhood mentality that I was in through the years of alcoholism, through my mother kidnapping me as a kid and me blaming my alcoholism on all that, through later on cocaine addiction and stuff that happened for a brief but short time that I didn't think was a problem, but it was just part of the cycle of life. All these things that I didn't realize were holding me back and shaming me and setting me away from becoming better were things that I wanted to heal from and not feel so bad about being part of my history and my past, because all that was before DDPY. So I was able to see that I can change that, forgive myself, and recognize that all of those things helped me become who I am today. Before DDPY, I stopped drinking like just a few months before that. So May 5th, 2021, was my last drink when we were in Florida at Sharky's on the Pier. And I just remember having that drink, sharing it with my wife. It was just one margarita on the beach. But I was just like, I'm done with this, because I used to be pantsless, puke covered in the bathroom face down, and she would be taking care of my mess. And I just knew that, one, I had a baby on the way and I was done with that lifestyle. And two, I was asking myself at that point, what is alcohol serving me out of this? What am I getting out of this? And so I was just done with it. So now it is 1 year and I think 7 months later, and I'm on my way to 2 years, and it's not anything that I need anymore. I have great stories to tell from my time as an alcoholic and being in a band and on the road, but just DDPY has helped free me of all that to be able to allow my mind to spin gears in other ways to manifest the life that I really want to have.
Wow. That's I gotta say, I don't know if you're a Seinfeld fan, but I feel like you kind of yada the cocaine addiction. And a person wouldn't even notice, because what a backstory there. What a whole lot, like we'd have to have the 2 cassette VHS for you, like Titanic.
Right. And this was stuff that last year I was still dealing with the concept of how I felt about all of this, because there's still a couple more things that like I'm scratching the surface on and healing and working from childhood. But like, I didn't think that those things were to blame in the whole of everything, to my alcoholism, to my obesity, to my lack of drive and motivation to aspire to be anything. But as I'm seeing the more of these walls that I break down, the more free my mind is to reach out and try to fail at things and learn and grow and not be afraid.
Yeah, I was in our chat before we started recording here. I had to ask Barry how much he'd lost. He's at 86 pounds down, by the way. Because what sticks out to me about you, Barry, is not your weight loss. It's that we've seen the mental transformation. You know, we've got to witness that from the cheap seats, and it's been amazing to see. And the fact that what stuck out to me in your summary there was that you bought the app, you got into the app 5 years ago almost now. You tried it for a week and it wasn't going to work for you. And Dallas has pointed out, others have pointed out, he's just a guide. He's just providing you the tools. You have to be ready to do the work yourself. So it took that. It took you making a decision that you wanted to do something different. And now look what it's done for you. The difference was not the app. The difference is you. So,
yeah.
I think that's pretty amazing. So, like I said, I'm still trying to get over. I've never had anybody like spend that little time on cocaine addiction, if it's in their story. But you've got a lot to cover here. You mentioned that you knew you were going to be a father. You became a father last year, right? So, how has that made things different for you?
Well, when I started DDPY in November, December, I was scared to death of fatherhood. I was afraid that by some crazy, magnificent occasion of unchained events that I would be exactly like my father and have all the problems that he's had and cause these issues and these issues and those issues. But I realized I get to screw up the kid my own way. So I'm doing great, actually. I'm excelling. One of my goals that I had from last year that I've got written down in my mini SmackDown sheets was to be there for my wife. And like today it was 22 degrees. My wife had a meeting. She works from home. The track is closed for an invitational gymnastics event for the next 4 days. So we went to the mall and I got my walks in the mall. And so I took the stroller and did a couple miles in the mall. And that's part of me being there for her. And I just love being able to do that, help with bath time, help read books. Like I've been so stressed and worried about developmental milestones, but when we do our assessments and everything, she's great. She's smart. She's growing. And it just makes me feel so powerful to know that when I came to DDPY, the real big reason is a lot of my own insecurities with myself, the lack of my parenting growing up, the lack of my mother and the kidnapping and all that. She's a bad mother. We're good now. I have her in my life. She's still batshit crazy. Love her to death. But she's not the mother that I need. My mother-in-law definitely was and helped get me through college. But my father, he and I, like when I failed 8th grade, he beat me up. And so that made me feel bad for being dumb. But it was a whole weird thing that I've healed from, but he didn't know how to be a dad. And so it's those kind of scenarios that having DDPY and Dallas's book and so many of the other positive resources that you've lead yourself to through the program has really led me to dive deep into 37 years of my life and pick and choose what does serve me and what doesn't serve me, and also realize that I can't make it go away. I can't remove those stains from the history, but I can learn from them. I can embrace them. I can breathe in the uncomfortable, and I can do better than what was before.
Yeah, that's all. Like you said, you can't do anything about the past, but we're a product of our experiences. If you hadn't gone through those things, every father gets it. I was the same way when I had my first boy. I was worried that, oh, I'm going to turn out just like my dad. No, the fact that I was worried about it, makes you act and behave a certain way and make different decisions because you say, no, I don't want this. I want this kid to have this. And you're not going to be perfect, but you're going to know what things you don't want to happen. And where that ties in with DDPY is the self-awareness. You spend so much time just working on you that you learn more about you. You know what triggers you. You know where your habits come from, all of that stuff. And it helps you become a better husband, a better dad, a better person. So
I got goosebumps because I'm having this realization as you're talking. But one of the things that I haven't said that I really love and have gotten out of DDPY that I didn't have prior to this is a better sense of values and morals.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be an ethical person. And that, again, ties into the self-awareness. The more you learn about yourself, the more you kind of not dwell on, but study your past and what happened to you and how this led to this and the butterfly effect of it all. You do start to develop that strong sense of right and wrong. I've noticed that too, where I'm just in general, I still make snide remarks and stuff like that. I'm still a sarcastic person. But in general, I'm much more empathetic. I tend not to judge people. I'll still occasionally, if I see a goofy looking person on the street, I'll make a joke because that's my defense mechanism is humor. But I try not to snap judge people. I try to put myself in people's shoes. And particularly when it comes to people, whatever age that I see going through similar experiences to what I've gone through, whether they're overweight now. I'm so much kinder to overweight people than I was even when I was overweight, because I'm putting myself right there with them. And I understand that there's nothing, they may be very happy, but I mean, it's not going to help anybody to criticize them harshly. And even kids, when you talk about looking back on your upbringing, I'm a lot nicer to bratty kids than I used to be, because it's like, well, you know what? I don't know what this kid's home situation is. We'll take it easy on them. So I think you're the first one in a long time to point that out, that, developing that sense of morals. But since you brought it up, I don't say, you know what? Yeah, me too. So we mentioned that you're a videographer and a musician, and you kind of spun through that in your backstory. What kind of music were you playing back in the day?
Oh man. So I started off in kind of like a thrash metal, melodic hardcore band.
Really?
So if the closest thing that I could say is early on, we sounded nothing like it. Early on, we probably sounded more like Stained or Disturbed or stuff like that. But towards the end of it, like we were working towards like the Trivium Chimera sound and getting more into that metal vein.
That's I would not have picked thrash metal.
No. And I used to have like hair down to here. And even then, I was a bigger guy. And so one of the dudes that was a photographer from the community back in the day just shared a photo from January 6, 2005. And my wife and I are right up front. And it's a whole sea of kids in black. And then me in this bright gray shirt. And you can just see my belly and my oversized pants to cover up for how big I am. And it's just such a wild like ride to see anything old of me now. And so my wife to this point still is like doing double takes in the grocery store. My mother-in-law, my father-in-law, everybody, my own family still is like, you're too skinny. You don't even look the same. You look like a completely different person. I was like, but guys, this is who I used to be when I was like before fifth grade, before crazy GMO foods in 1996, and my family went on a budget and had to be the part of the families that had to eat for less than $1 a day and eat out of the freezer box foods and all that nasty crap that contributed to my obesity. So having that lifestyle from 1995, 96, 97, all the way until just last year really changed, and learning how to approach nutrition and gut health and wellness and the entire philosophy. Like, I'm doing things now that I never would have imagined, like drinking apple cider vinegar daily and having digestive teas that have no caffeine, that are peppermint, ginger, and fennel. Like, it's fun stuff. But then where it comes back to when you're struggling is, if you're going to do all that and then still eat a Snickers, what good is it for?
Yeah, that's true. It's all about consistency, right? So if you're going to eat a Snickers, but then you're hyper conscious of what else you do most of the time, and then every once in a while you have a Snickers, that's not bad. It's not going to derail you,
No.
right? But it is work to do all the stuff that you mentioned. I'm sorry, I'm not that hardcore. I don't drink apple cider vinegar. I do eat a lot of yogurt. That's my probiotic. But yeah, you have to, everybody's got a different relationship with food. And I can relate to, the eating stuff out of the box, out of the freezer. We still do some of that. And it's just become about making better choices.
Right.
And again, looking at the same mistakes. We didn't know what we didn't know when we were kids. Now we know so much more. Passing it on to your own children in a way that they can use the information, not feel guilty when they have a food that they like that you say, oh, that's terrible for you, but rather just giving them a little bit of education on why I want you to eat this green thing and not that deep fried thing. That's where it comes in. Just don't make it restrictive, but tell them the why.
Exactly. And then, so one of the things that also led me here was my health. At 242 pounds, 5'10", 36 years old, 35 at the time. The alcoholism, my diet, I was starting to have cluster headaches and migraines to the point that it would be so bad and debilitating that I would have to be in bed. And like, it wouldn't go away until I either vomited or I had like a complete 2-hour shutdown from the world. And that was, 2019 in December, all the way to 2021 when I finally started having it addressed. And what I found out was I had high blood pressure, angina, and a benign cyst in the pineal gland of my brain.
Jeez.
So this morning I was doing my blood pressure check because I had thought that even though my doctor had said, congratulations on losing all the weight and changing your diet. Well, while I was in Florida for 3 weeks, I thought I would try to wean myself off of the blood pressure pills and the statin that she put me on for the angina, remembering that she wants me on them for the clusters, headaches, and the migraines. So 3 weeks without medicine, I come back to Virginia, and this past Tuesday, they struck. It still hit me. I was in the bed, sick, with an ice pack on my head, having the cluster headaches, so aggravated that I've gone through this 86-pound weight loss, and I'm still not right. And so it sucks to have to be on medicine for this and still feel like that. Now I didn't have insurance back then. I also racked up a $21,000 hospital bill, and thankfully to their program I was able to apply, and because I don't make enough, I fell within the amount to have it all forgiven. So I got a blessing with that, got to figure out what was going on with me, and now I do have insurance. I can continue to find out what's going on now, because shutting down this past Tuesday derailed me. I ate poorly. I was conscious of it all week. I was unstoppable Monday, Wednesday, and today, but I had another bad day yesterday. Had some Krispy Kreme donuts and maybe
shame. Let me make you feel really bad about that, Barry. You're human. It happens.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
What I love about what you're saying is you say I had a bad day. That bad day doesn't turn into a bad week, a bad month.
No.
Just confine it.
Yeah. And that's where, like, the other thing is to just continue on with telling you more. And before we get into the DDPY community, before the rapid fire questions, One of the things that I've had that's been a great awakening realization since coming back from Florida, my father-in-law had his 11th seizure in a year. And this is due from his dementia and Alzheimer's, but it's also due to our suspect is his over intake of sugar. The man is eating close to 2,000 grams of sugar a day. I know that's shocking, but
Yeah.
he drinks 6 20-ounce Dr. Pepper bottles with 110 grams of sugar. He
Mhm.
drinks milk that's, I think when I looked at his, it's got like 34 grams of sugar for the milk that he buys. He has cereal that's high in sugar, adds sugar to it. Then he has 2 or 3 pots of coffee a day. He goes through 2 5-pound bags of sugar, refined white nasty sugar a week. So we've worked with him the entire past couple of days that I was there. I lost an entire week of work for being his caretaker and helping him recover from his seizure. And his dementia is to the point that he can't remember his social security number at times. He can't remember his phone number. He can't remember his email address. That's just, he's slowly going. And this is one of the things that Wendy Wushu reached out to me and talked to me that, there's just some things I can't control, but I can be there. So what we've tried to do is be there for him, use what I've learned through DDPY in the community and help him modify what he's eating, not restrict him, but show him that you can't be eating 4 snowballs that are 60 grams of sugar in a day. And then that's 240 grams of sugar on top of your Dr. Pepper, on top of this and on top of that. And he does that every day. He's had a seizure a month almost. And it's just been traumatic for my wife because 5 minutes before that, he was holding our daughter. So what I'm getting at is I used to blame them for my location. I can't work out today because they're here. I can't work out today because this is here. I can't work out today because he's had my whole day wrapped up in him. Well, I cannot continue to blame stress and life for my lack of action. I've realized that they're only human too. And granted, they're close to 70 and there are other 70-year-olds doing better than they are. They're doing the best they can. But I can be the better one to remember not to be angry at them, not to be mad at myself, not to blame anything at all, but just focus on getting through this hard moment, being there for everybody. Because like we talked about earlier with the bigger people, it's not going to help anybody to be hurtful or harmful. So trying to help him learn how to take sugar differently, that he can still have some cakes, just look for 0 sugar and this, that, and the other, and help him out through this. We're going back next week, and I hope not to find a big bag of sugar, but we'll see how it takes. And when I get there, I'm going to remember to be kind, make time for me, unwind, do my walks, hit the mat, and that I can't change it. I can just be there to be through it. So through DDPY, I can't be stressed and blame them for my stress and lack of action.
That's right.
I got to take action.
That's right. Living the 90%. That's how you react to it. But go ahead.
It sucks. It sucks as I'm watching him 1 foot in the grave and my daughter grow up. But I'm realizing that's the part of life that I'm at in this age.
But feel free. Like I'm giving you permission in this case. That's a lot of sugar. Swap some of that out for some monk fruit when he isn't looking. And, he'll probably never know the difference.
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's crazy. You mentioned the community. You mentioned Wushu. Funny because as I was going through my list of people, who do I want to hit up in 2023? You were already on a list, and I reached out to Wushu, and yours was among the first names that popped up. And I said, well, there's a sign. I can just pick these because, we'll get to everybody eventually. And so she's a great part of the DDPY community, extremely supportive of everybody. So we've talked a lot about the program and the self-awareness. What difference has the community made for you in this whole process?
They're teaching me a really important lesson that even some of my fellow videographers in my local hometown are trying to teach me, and they've been trying to teach me for years. I'm not a one-man band. I need the help of others. I need to be able to talk, open up, and relate and connect and communicate and not be stuck in my head trying to solve all the world's problems alone.
Yeah, there's nobody smarter than you inside there. That guy in there has had all the same experiences you have. So you're going to have a groupthink problem if the only person you ever consult is yourself. And I think that's a great point. And yeah, it takes a really strong person to be willing to open up to a bunch of internet strangers. But it's the most positive community you're ever going to come across, and everybody's there to help in some way.
It was shockingly so easy to open up because I just put myself at the heels of others, because truthfully, as bad as my situation is, and even we can go into the cocaine days and not talk about some of the incriminating things that I've done, but I'm not proud of the past and the person that I used to be, but I've learned a lot from it. And while I had fun and have some awesome stories to tell, it definitely, those moments didn't serve me. And what I've gained from all of that is just that opening up and sharing what you've been through is an amazing experience, because you don't know who's been through it that can say the one thing to turn your mind upside down and make that, like the kidnapping thing with my mom, that has held me down for so effing long. And then just last year, after a couple of conversations in the group, it started to shift on me that it serves me differently. And one of the other things that I can say about this, one of the things, I was kidnapped like 5 times. She forged notes to take me out of school. One time she stuck me out of a bedroom window before they were divorced. And then 3 other times, if I think hard enough, I can probably remember how they happened. But as I was trying to retrace and think back through all this, 1, what does it serve me now? 2, I can't change that it happened. But 3, what can I learn from it? It's made me one really freaking resilient dude. When I was in Pennsylvania with these kids that I can't remember, I learned to make friends. I made the best of it. And so all these times that I was like living out in the camper off the creek and all these crazy things with our neighbor, I wasn't scared or upset. She had me enrolled at schools that were still within the same county that I lived in and started in. So of course, this is the 90s, before lots of internet technology. But I didn't have that fear of unsafe or unwellness. And so I just made do with the situation. When I look back at that, I was like, well, damn, little Barry, way to go, dude. Cool. Because any job that I start at, anywhere I go, like I instantly fit in with people. I'm able to jump in, join a conversation, and that's really neat. So I kind of attribute some of that to it. And then switching from schools and all that. So there is positive in the negative. You just have to be strong enough to face it down and find it.
That's awesome. And that's amazing. And you're 100% right. So I almost feel like at some point there may have to be a part 2 to the Ballad of Barry Bowling. But what do you say? There. What do you say before we lose them all and we roll into some rapid fire questions?
I love it. I love it. I love it.
All right. So I wrote some of these down before I knew just what a musician Barry was. So what would be your walking down the street theme in the opening reel of your movie?
Oh, shoot. Oh, God. Well, actually, so it's going to go a completely different direction, because even though I played metal and all that, I love 311. And so once again, with the mental shift that DDPY has given me, I kind of only listen to 3 bands right now: Serenation, Dirty Heads, and 311. They're kind of all reggae, ska, pop, punk bands that only really have positive affirmations and undertones. So I still love metal and the distorted, fast, blazing riffs and shredding. But right now, what really gets me is those lyrics that make me feel like today I'm going to make something happen. So awesome. The walking down the street song would be What the by 311.
Nice. I actually know that one. That's awesome. Just in general, the book or the movie?
The book.
I agree with you there. You have the opportunity to attend any concert all time. What would you choose?
Oh, any concert all time.
If it's a dead person, you could go back and watch him in concert.
Yeah. You're screwing me on this stuff, man. That's a hard one. So Let's choose something that's not out of regret, that was a real life opportunity that I missed out on that I should have went to, and just go with something that's fantasy and say if I could have seen Dark Side of the Moon on the original tour in 73.
Awesome. All right. What is your overall proudest moment?
I would definitely say making my wife's heart melt when she saw me hold my daughter for the first time and knowing all the change that I'd put into becoming a dad.
Awesome. Nothing beats it. What is your most embarrassing moment ever?
So we were playing a concert at the Haddad Riverfront Water Park in Charleston, West Virginia, and still big guy, big belly. It is 23 degrees. I'm playing wearing some big old jeans and some G-Shock flame shoes that you got from Gadzooks back in the 90s. Had the little like stash keyhole in the shoes. And I played the show and didn't realize until the end of the show my fly was undone and hanging out. But my guitar covered it, and there was lots of shrinkage, but I don't know what happened. I don't know if anything was seen. We didn't win, but that was definitely one of the moments. And then that, or there was the time that I reported my car stolen because I forgot where I parked it.
Wow.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I had my whole family scared. And then when I told them where I parked it and found the $25 parking ticket, they were like, "You dummy."
What, let's see here. What's the biggest lesson you've learned so far from fatherhood?
Don't be afraid. Everything's going to happen and you can't stop it.
Absolutely. What is your favorite DDPY position?
Ooh. I think because I did it earlier today and it feels the best and you can kind of wiggle around with it, can opener.
Awesome. What is your favorite food?
Ooh. I'm going to have to say onions and jalapenos right now because I put onions and jalapenos in pretty much every meal because they have good digestive characteristics that help speed up the process.
Absolutely. What's the worst advice you've ever received?
That one's a hard one. Oh, wait. Oh my God. Okay. So it was 5 weeks ago. I told you about my mom and everything. I'm doing what I can to not ostracize her. I'm letting her see my granddaughter or her granddaughter. I'm letting her see my daughter. I'm letting her build that relationship. No matter how crazy she is, she's not actually in our lives except for when we control those scenarios. Mm-hmm. Well, I've also said my mother's that shit crazy. So the worst advice that she had was when Adrian was putting Charlotte in the car and she's giving me a hug to say bye. She goes, "Be sure to poke a hole in the rubber."
Oh, Jesus.
I want another one.
What is the best advice you've ever received?
Believe in yourself. Because that's where in 2018, when I had it for a week, that was what changed all of this from then. If I had known, if I had just believed in myself for one solid week, things could have been tremendously different from then till now. Who knows where I'd be? But I wasn't ready. And I get that and I respect it and I love it because it makes the now all the more sweeter.
Absolutely. You're doing it now and that's what matters. We survived the rapid fires. So then this is a show about the community, by the community, for the community. So I'm going to ask you to pick a member or two of the DDPY community that you think deserves a little bit of a shout out and tell us why.
Oh, man. So first off, I'm going to have to give some major credit to Murphy Murph because that guy he was the first one that when I posted something about how I was stuck in my head, he shared an Eddie Pinero video with me about you versus you. And ever since then, seeing that video and getting turned on to Eddie Pinero and starting to talk more with Murphy, like he is in his 4th year on the Positively Unstoppable Challenge. And who he sees himself internally is not who everybody sees when they look at him. And he is so powerful in his convictions to that image and that presence of mind that he rubbed off on me. Early on, David Owen, y'all, he was one of the people that when I saw where he started, I mean, my first interaction with him when he shared a face-to-face Friday was like, dude, you look like freaking John Candy. Like, I love that you look like John Candy. You look phenomenal now, but I like how you look then too. But I mean, there are people like Jason Henry, I think was over 400 pounds, possibly. I know he's over 300, but there's so many people that started much higher than I did that have been working so much longer than I've had to work and still have further to go to be where they want to be. And those are the people that still inspire me because they're not being broken. They're still putting in the work where I was like, I got to my weight loss. I can like take it easy for myself. But when I took it easy for that last 3 months, things started creeping in and the old doubt and disbelief started to rise up. And that's where you got to be unstoppable and committed. So Murphy Murph was one of the dudes that he and I have been accountability buddies back and forth this challenge. And I don't know who's being accountable for who at this point because he's inspiring me and motivating me just as much as I'm trying to do for him. Another is Matthew Rothenberg, because he has been somebody that's reached out to me about the new fatherhood. And like today is the best that an interview for a DDPY has gone, because when I did my finalist interview with Pat and Nadia and Chris Grizz, my daughter rolled off the bed and fell 4 feet and hit her head. So I had to reschedule that on a Friday for the following Monday, and I was freaked out completely, but Pat understood, and the community and Nadia and everybody was like, she's okay. Everybody's good. Just breathe. You'll get through it. So Matthew, he was great at like reassuring me that, you know, you're going to be fine. Fatherhood's just another bunch of lessons that you're going to have to learn painfully. So he's been fantastic. Sarah Smith, Sassy Sarah, she has been unstoppable and amazing. She's been such a motivator. Denise Cirque has been amazing. Denise has gotten out and done a lot of connecting. If you've seen her post,
I've seen that. Yeah, that's awesome. And you mentioned Sarah, my DDPY twin. We started on the same day, with the exception of Denise. So far, every one of those people, a Community Chronicles alum here. So it's
nice. Not Jonathan Bartholomew. He's down in Roanoke, just 34 miles from me. He and Brittany Rose.
Yeah, I love watching those, especially since they got together. They've been a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, I think their synergy together is pretty inspiring, because now that they've found each other, they're kind of having the moments that I had alone together. And that's really freaking awesome to get to watch.
It is. Well, one more favor to ask before we 23 skidoo here, Barry, and that's just give us a bang to shut her down.
All right. So it is 2023, and I cannot say thank you enough to Anthony and the DDPY community for just letting me speak, because I'm the one that gets the benefit from this. This gets this stuff out of my head and into your ears, whether you take it for what it is or not. It makes me feel better because it gets it out of here. So have a great 2023, and here's to owning it. Bang!
Money got my happiness today, I'm feeling great. And if you smile all the time, then your face gon' turn that way. Yeah, it feels good, don't it? Damn, it feels good to have people up on and say yeah.